Hi everyone, in this lesson we'll be creating this part model in Fusion 360. So this model looks familiar. Yes, it is. It's from the CSWP sample exam core. Now with that in mind, let's get started. I have a new design open, and typically my workflow is I remove snap to grid and incremental move. So I deselect them. Moving forward, I'm going to hit letter R for rectangle and select this plane. So notice it highlights into white. I'm going to left click this one to select. Now I'm going to go to sketch palette, feature options, and change the mode of our rectangle to center rectangle. So left click this one. Our first point at the origin, left click. I'm going to pan. So now notice 108.926. So this is our B, which is 210. Keying in 210. I'm going to press tab. And for A, it's 225. Pressing enter. I'm going to go to home view. I'm going to hit letter E for extrude. Prompted to select a profile. Selecting this profile. I'm going to grab our blue arrow up. And the value or distance for this one is 25. Operation is new body. And I'm going to hit OK. Next, I'm going to hit letter L for line. Now we are prompted to select a plane or planar face. I'm going to select this face. Left click. Our first point here at the intersection. Left click. So left click again. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to press letter L again for line. Drop my first point here, second point here. I'm going to hit escape. So notice a while ago I did not input any value. And because of that, we don't have any dimension. Next, I'm going to hit letter S for us to grab our sketch toolbox. I'm going to type in ARC and select 3-point arc. So first point at this end point, next one here. And our third point, I'm going to make an eyeball and drop it here. I'm going to hit escape. Now I'm going to hit D for dimension. Selecting this horizontal line. Dropping my dimension here. And keying in 80. Selecting this vertical line. Dropping our dimension here. Keying in 80. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to try and move our entity to check. Next, I'm going to go to sketch palette, constraints, scrolling down and select horizontal, vertical. I'm going to select our center point and this end point, and now they are aligned horizontally. Next, selecting our center point once more and our end point. Now they are aligned vertically. I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to hit D for dimension. Selecting our vertical line and this edge. I'm going to drop our dimension here. And the value for C is 176. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to hit escape to disable dimension. I'm going to hit S for sketch toolbox. I'm going to type in CH and select change parameters. So I'm going to expand model parameters unsaved and go back to our sketch one. So notice 225 is assigned as letter A. I'm going to go to name and rename D1 into A. Next, 210 is B. So selecting D2 and changing it to B. Next, I'm going to go to sketch 2. So if you remember, our C is 176. So selecting D7, I'm going to type C. Notice that it turned into red, meaning Fusion 360 doesn't allow the name C. So I'm going to type C once more. So now it is in color black, meaning it's okay. So selecting OK. Next, I'm going to hit O to grab our offset tool and select this entity. So notice it turns into white. So that is the moment we can perform a left click. Left clicking now. So moving this slider. Now the value for this one is -15. We can input it here or here and hit OK. So notice as I hover my mouse over this area, so this is now a clear indication that this is a profile. I'm going to hit E for extrude, go to home view, prompted to select a profile, selecting this profile, grabbing our blue arrow up. So the height from this one up to the base is 95. So take note, this is already in the height of 25. So 95 minus 25. Operation is join and I'm going to hit OK. So to verify, I'm going to click I, typing in I to grab our measure tool, selecting this face. So again, I'm going to restart selection. Selecting this face, I'm going to rotate and select this face. So confirm, it is now 95. Going to front view. And I'm going to hit close. Going back to home view. I'm going to hit C to grab our circle and select this face. So I'm going to drop our center point at the midpoint. So whenever it turned into a triangle, meaning it is the midpoint. So left click. Now for the outer diameter, it is X, which is A divided by 3. I'm going to type in A, spacebar, slash, spacebar 3, and hit enter. So I'm going to hit S to grab our sketch toolbox, typing in CH and grabbing change parameters. I'm going to expand sketch 3. So notice at the expression, it now reflects A divided by 3. So changing the 11 into X and hit OK. So now I'm going to hit E for extrude, going to home view, selecting this profile, zooming in, and this profile, zooming out. I'm going to go to direction and select to side, grabbing this arrow to the left and this arrow to the right. I'm going to change the operation to join. So for this one, I'm going to type in 10 and the other one to be 137 minus 10 and hit OK. So this should be the length of the cylinder, should be 137. So to confirm, I'm going to hit I, selecting this center point, rotating and selecting this center point. So confirm 137. I'm going to hit close and go back to home view. Now, if you're wondering where is the location of change parameters, it is under modify, going down and selecting change parameters. So I'm going to expand extrude 3. And based on our reference, letter D alone should be just a 1 dimension. So as we can see, we have D12 and D13. So we need to combine this one. I'm going to hit X and go to our timeline, grabbing our marker, left click and hold, going to the left and release. I'm going to go to construct and select offset plane, selecting this face, grabbing our arrow and keying in 10. Pressing enter. And now I'm going to go back to our timeline and select move to end. So going back to our sketch 3, I'm going to right click, sketch 3, and select redefine sketch plane. So we are now prompted to select a plane, selecting this plane and hit OK. So as you can see, our cylinder shifted to the left. I'm going to go to extrude 3, right click and select edit feature. So I'm going to go to direction and select one side. I'm going to grab our arrow and move it to the right and key in negative 137 and hit OK. Going to home view and pressing S for the model toolbox, typing in CH and grabbing change parameters. I'm going to expand extrude 3. So now it is expanded. Renaming D12 to D. And hit OK. Going to construct and selecting offset plane, selecting this face, grabbing our arrow to the right and keying in 10, pressing enter. Now I'm going to hit C for circle and selecting this plane, zooming in and locating our midpoint. So placing our center point here. So this is Y, and the value for Y is B spacebar slash spacebar 3 spacebar plus spacebar 10 and hit enter. I'm gonna hit S for sketch toolbox, typing in CH, grabbing change parameters. I'm gonna scroll down and expand sketch 5. I'm going to rename D18 to Y and hit OK. So pressing E for extrude, left click this profile, going to home view, grabbing our blue arrow to the left. Operation should be join. I'm going to key in for distance, negative 137 and hit OK. So again, going to model toolbox, typing in CH and selecting change parameters, scrolling down and expanding extrude 4. So for D19, so negative 137, entering D, I'm going to hit tab and hit OK. So to check, let's change the length of the cylinder. You can go back to modify, change parameters, Going to D, let's say negative 150. Hitting OK. So notice both of them are negative, or better yet, the length is 150. I'm going to hit Control Z to undo and go back to home view. Let's now create the holes here on the cylinder. I'm going to hit H to grab our hole. For the face and point, I'm going to select this face. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hide our construction plane and expanding this one. Turning off the bulb. Grabbing this blue dot. So notice the center point. I'm going to move this blue dot to our center point. And it snaps. So for the hole type, I'm going to select simple. For extents, I'm going to select 2. I'm going to rotate. Left click this arrow and left click this face. Now the diameter of our hole should be 39 and hit OK. Going back to home view, I'm going to type S to grab our model toolbox, typing in CH, grabbing change parameters. I'm going to scroll down, expand hole 1. I'm going to rename D22 to E and hit OK. So again, grabbing H for hole, selecting this face. I'm going to zoom in, grabbing this blue dot and dropping it to our center point so it snaps. Extends to, left click this arrow. I'm going to rotate. Again, left clicking this arrow and selecting this face and hit OK. Going back to home view, hitting S, typing CH, grabbing change parameters, scrolling down, selecting hole 2, going to D25 and changing the expression to E and hit OK. I'm going to create the square here. I'm going to hit R for rectangle and select this face. I'm going to zoom in. First point at this corner. The dimensions are 60. I'm going to hit tab, keying in 60, pressing enter. So now I'm going to hit E for extrude, going to home view, selecting this profile, grabbing our arrow up. So take note, the height for this one is 25 and our desired height from here up to the base is 35. So keying in 10 and hit OK. Now I'm going to hit O for offset and select this face. Selecting this entity, left click, grabbing our slider and keying in 9 and hit OK. Going to home view. Now I'm going to hit E for extrude, selecting this newly created profile, dragging it down. So if this is 25 and we have a target for the remaining thickness to be 5, so negative 25, or better yet, I'm going to go straight to negative 20 and hit OK. So to check, I'm going to hit I for measure, selecting this face. I'm going to rotate and select this face. So confirmed. 5. Hitting close. Going back to home view. Now I'm going to hit F to grab our fillet tool. Selecting this edge, rotating, selecting this edge, selecting this one, and finally this edge. Going to home view, and for the radius, I'm gonna key in 10. Going to top view, and hit OK. I'm gonna hit H to grab our hole. I'm gonna go to top view. So selecting this face, I'm gonna zoom in and grab our blue dot. So I'm still holding my left mouse button, and notice that point. So I'm gonna go there and notice it snaps. So going to home view, hole type, I'm gonna select counter bore. I'm gonna zoom in. For the counter bore depth, I'm gonna type in 10. For the diameter, I'm going to type in 15. For the counter bore diameter, I'm going to key in 30. Extents 2. So selecting this arrow and selecting this face. Once more. And finally hit OK. Going back to home view. Let's now add the chamfer. I'm going to go to our timeline, grabbing our marker and moving this. After hole 2, I'm going to select this edge, control left click. I'm going to rotate, control left click, and finally this one, right click, and select chamfer. Now for the distance, I'm going to type in 2 and hit OK. Going to home view and selecting move to end. Now I'm going to grab our fillet tool, pressing F, selecting this edge, and finally this edge. Going to home view. For the radius, I'm going to key in 10 and hit OK. So congratulations for completing this part model, which came from the CSWP-CORE exam. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you once more on the next video.